Welcome. There we go. Let's fix that. All right. Welcome to Thursday's Mindful Moment. Making sure we got all things happening here. Go ahead and put in the comments where you are joining from. As always, you can watch the replays at the website that's linked there. Mindful Moments will now be housed at on YouTube. Hey, Dari, good to see you. Yeah, so we're gonna jump in and get right started. Again, comment where you're from. Also, engage in the chat. Let me know how this is resonating with you. If this is resonating with you, let me know your scale, where you're feeling, what you're feeling right now. If you're at a 10, like I'm phenomenal. If you're at a one, I'm not really feeling great. Or if you're in between, let me know. So these mindful moments, as you know, are brought to you by the none and other, me, Tawana, but also are built and birthed out of real life situations and circumstances, and just being able to give you something that has helped me and is helping me. And yeah, so let's get started. But before I begin, I just feel like I have to share this. Um, hey, as I was preparing my mind and my spirit today, there were two songs that played in rotation, and one is Sustain by Transformation Church featuring Chandler Moore. Put in the comment if you know this song and if you really feel in this song. But there is one part of this song that really, really stuck out to me. And part of the chorus says, "Not depending on me, but relying on you. Your mercies are new every day, so I will trust you." And then the second song that popped up or came on in rotation, and I don't remember if they were back to back, but somewhere along the lines, these songs like really resonated and highlighted in my mind. And that second song is "You Will Be Saved" by Elevation Rhythm. And in this, the songstress says, "Everybody everybody needs saving. Everybody breaks. Everybody bleeds. You don't have to be ashamed." And I thought that this was a perfect segue into today's topic, which I titled Judgy Much, and you'll see why. But as I was thinking about this, I think about we can smile at strangers, but we snap at the people that we love the most. Like, why is that? And we can give grace to someone we barely know. But when it comes to our closest people, our children, spouses, our friends, our coworkers, it's really easy for our words just come out sharp, be impatient, or even condemning. And sometimes we call it helping. And we say we're just being honest. But if we're not careful, what's really happening is we're slipping into what I like to call subtle judgment. And that's the kind that says, you should know better, or the kind that expects people to already understand us without giving mercy or clarity or even compassion. And today's mindful moment is birthed from that. It's not a sermon, that this is coaching, and it's coaching for real life, real leadership, and just real love for the people that you care, lead, and love on an everyday basis. And my goal today is to give you tools and me tools that you can use in real time and really take them back to your closest relationship and put them into practice and make them daily habits. And so first, let's just ground in some scripture and ground in the word. And the first one is James 2:12, and I'm reading from NIV. And it says, "Speak and act as those who are going to be judged by the law that gives freedom, because judgment without mercy will be shown to anyone who has not been merciful. Mercy triumphs over judgment." I want to go back to that first part because it says, "Speak and act as those who are going to be judged by the law that gives freedom." We are used to it. When I was preparing this, I had to read it again because I'm like, usually, if you go to the court or things like that, or you watch TV that involves court systems, it says that the law is to be able to give freedom, but in all actuality, if the person's in court, is they're fighting for their freedom. But this had a different spin on it. But I'll go to the next scripture. It's James, just a few down over. It's James 4 verses 11 through 12, and it says, "Brothers and sisters, do not slander one another. Anyone who speaks against a brother or sister or judges them speaks against the law and judges it." And it skips over some. "And there is only one lawgiver and judge, the one who is able to save and destroy. But you, who are you to judge your neighbor?" And that's not it, because the Bible has a lot to say about judging. In fact, it has a whole book called Judges, and none of these scriptures are even from that book. As I was studying, I'm like, wow, none of these even are even from the book of Judges. But then there's Matthew 7, verses 1 through 5, and that says, do not judge. It's plain and day. Do not judge. You too will be judged. For in the same way you judge others, you will be judged. And with the measure you use, it will be measured to you. Why do you look at the speck of sawdust in your brother's eye and pay no attention to the plank in your own eye? Then in Galatians 6, 1 through 2, it says, brothers and sisters, if someone is caught in sin, you who live by the Spirit should restore that person gently. But watch yourselves, or you also may be tempted. Carry each other's burdens, and in this way you will fulfill the law of Christ. So, by now, you should be able to see just a couple of things in these scriptures. Judgment condemns. And these aren't things that are like, oh, wow, that's new. It's like, oh, yeah, just reflecting back. But mercy restores. And these scriptures really, really make it clear that mercy is what actually wins. And so, I want to just really give a transparent moment, because the Holy Spirit was really tugging on me here too. And it's first in my parenting. So my daughter lives with ADHD, and because I'm knowledgeable, because I studied education, like literally that is my background, that's my life, that's what I've done for a living for over 20 some odd years, and it's what I continue to do. Because I've been a principal, because I've coached leaders, I've known systems and strategies, I've set up systems and strategy. I can quickly slip into this thing called subtle judgment, and not judgment in a sense of um holding her accountable, because accountability is needed. Let me not get that twisted. Like, that is definitely needed, but I'm talking about judgment in the way I correct her, in the tone that I use, in the lack of mercy that I show when I think I'm just being clear. And I can say I'm showing empathy, but if I'm delivering things in a sharp manner, a sharp tone, then mercy is missing. And it doesn't even stop at home. Like, if I'm being real honest, first of all, let me know y'all see me in the chat. Don't leave me out here standing alone. Let me know that at least you see me. But like I said, it doesn't just stop at home. I'm her biggest advocate. So in my advocacy with her teachers in school, I've done the same, if I'm being honest, because I bring that knowledge and that experience to the table. I've sometimes spoken truth without wrapping it in mercy, without filtering it through first to make sure that mercy is catching the things that could come off sharp and mean toned. I've been direct, but I've not always been compassionate, clear, but not clothed in comfort and in empathy. And here's the biggest thing: mercy doesn't mean letting things slide. Mercy doesn't mean excusing poor behavior. I think some people confuse that, if you show mercy, that just like, oh, give them a pass, excuse it. No, it doesn't mean lowering your standards. Mercy means holding people accountable, but doing it with compassion, with empathy, with humility, because that's what God does for us. Just like the song said, your mercies are new every day, so I will trust you. Thank you so much for seeing me out there. I appreciate it. So I want to talk about that subtle judgment that I mentioned, because it is really subtle. Like, we know not to judge. Like, I'm not going to say this person is wrong and I'm going to do this, but subtle judgment shows up sometimes in our characters. Like I mentioned, it showed up in mine, and it shows up in thought. Like when we say things like, "You should just know better." But mercy is what says, "I'll walk you through this. Let me show you. Allow me to help you." And it just takes a moment of intentionality to just stop and just think about it. And I'm not pointing a finger at you, because I'm actually pointing a finger in the mirror at me. Mercy is not the absence of accountability. I want to make that perfectly clear, because it is accountability that is accompanied with compassion. And when we practice mercy, we actually restore. And when we practice judgment, we actually condemn. And we don't like it, how it feels for us. And so if we think about it, what does it feel like for others? That's that empathy speaking. But again, it takes a moment to stop and to think about it. So I want to give you two tools because this was my promise to you of giving you some tools that you can actually use today that I will too be putting into practice. And this isn't a theory, but it's practical ways that you can really check yourself and shift in the moment in real time. And so the first one is called, and I want you to write it down if you have notes, if you're somewhere where you can write notes or come back to the replay, but it's called Mercy. Go figure, right? But it is an acronym. And so this is for those really heated moments, for those in the moment situations when your words are about to come out your mouth sharp and you're already frustrated. I used to tell my students before those words slip your lip, let it dance in your head, like let it do a little dance, and your brain is going to catch what shouldn't fall out your mouth. And so that would say, like, hey, did it dance in your brain first? And so this is kind of that practice here. And so, like I said, it's called Mercy, and it's you spell it out. So the M is for motive. Think about what's driving me right now. Like, is it love or is it frustration? Why am I about to say this? Is it out of love or is it the frustration that's talking? And it takes a moment to stop and think about this. And sometimes you can think like, well, I'm already in the moment and I'm already speaking, I'm already saying things. I'm not going to stop to think about this. Well, just like if there's a fire going, they say stop, drop, and roll, or you could burn up in the fire. That's the same thing. This is a fire going. You need to stop, drop it for a second, and let it roll around in your head. And so you think about that. That gives also your brain time to stop and relax for a moment. And then the E stands for empathy. Like pause for a second and think, how might this feel to them? Pause and consider and just for a second, if they hear this the way I'm about to say it, how will it land? How will they react in the next moment? And the R is request permission. Like sometimes, like I said, sometimes it feels like I'm just helping, I'm just saying a thing, but people are human, even our children. I mean, I know that we forget that sometimes, and we don't realize they're human until they're grown ups. Like after they're grown, like, oh yeah, you are a human. But if you have little people out there, even if you're a teacher or if you're raising a little one, like they're human too. So even asking permission, like, can I share something I've noticed? Or would it help if I gave you this suggestion? Like this is big. Instead of like bargaining it in, try things like, can I share what I've noticed? I remember my daughter, my 10-year-old, 10 and a half, because that half matters. I think she was about 7 and she was doing a picture or drawing something. And she said, I forget what she asked me, but I said, you should to her drawing. And then I caught myself and I was like, wait, because I think she was asking me a suggestion or whatever. And I said, you should. And then I caught myself and said, wait, first of all, do you even want my advice? Because I think she wasn't even asking about her picture. She was saying something else. And then I stopped and I was like, do you even want my advice? Because you might not even want my advice about your picture. This is your drawing. Who am I to say what you should do? And I was like, then I said, and I shouldn't say you should, but I was stumped and stuck about what should I say. And so I asked her, like, what should I say? And lo and behold, she was stuck. She was like, I don't know. So we kind of brainstormed those things again. And that's when we came to the conclusion of like, wait, do you even want my advice? Or can I share something with you? And then realizing that, asking that permission, it also lowers barriers to say, we're in a partnership here. Like we're collaborating because that person could say, actually, no, because they may not be ready. And this is where I was wrestling as well of how do you help others who may not want help, but you see that help is needed, or who may not know they need help. Because when you step in, that could look like you're just stepping in. And so having this request permission portion is so crucial for me. And then the C is clarity. Like be specific. Talk about one behavior, not the whole character. Don't label their character, just point out one behavior. So, for example, when you rush through the assignment, you miss these key steps. So, if I'm talking to a student, not you're careless or you didn't pay attention or you're not focusing, like just focus on that thing. And I know sometimes we get caught up in the whole big picture of things. And we used to practice this, and they still do in education, called highest leverage. So looking for the highest leverage, and that's the one thing you focus on because in most cases, that thing is going to help fix the other things. But if you try to focus on everything, that's you trying to eat a whole piece of whole instead of just one slice. And then there's the why, yield. Give the outcome to God. Like release the pressure to control. You can only provide what you can provide, but you cannot be someone's God. You can be their guide, but not their God. I didn't own that. I got that from someone else, but I thought that was really powerful. So you have motive, empathy, request permission, clarity, and yield. And after you've spoken to God about it, release it. Don't control whether you're going to accept it or not. Before I move on, let me know which one has resonated with you. I mean, not which one, because I'm putting that as a package, but if that resonated with you, put your hand up or something. Let me know that you're going to commit to partner with me in showing mercy in this way. And while you're doing that, the biggest thing to remember is the mercy as an acronym, and even as a mercy as a whole, it is what you use in those moments when judgment really wants to come out sharp. When this is a tool that shows you how to slow down, how to cover your words in compassion and empathy, and really stop and reflect and see the other person as a person despite their behavior, despite the situation. And like I said, I'm going to give you two tools. So the first one was mercy, and the second one is speak. And that's an acronym too. You could tell like a teacher, like we love acronyms and we love um, kind of make it easy for that, like things to remember. You got mercy and you got speak. These are the two twos. And speak is the one that you're going to use in times when you need to give correction. Because, like I said, this is not saying that people should not be accountable and correction is not needed. It is needed, but it's all about how do we do it. I talked a couple weeks back on, and it wasn't titled What Would Jesus Do, but I just reflected on the fact how we used to wear these bracelets, not these, I don't have it on, but we used to wear a bracelet that was What Would Jesus Do? And it was a reminder for us in the moments when we got in these moments that were heated and judgment was about to happen, or you would look at your bracelet or touch your bracelet, and it was a reminder of what would Jesus do in this moment. And so this is kind of that. And I wish we can bring those bracelets back or something and be like, hey, what would Jesus do? But this, again, this is the time when you still need to give correction. You need to give feedback. You need to advocate, but you need to do it in a way that actually is equipping instead of condemning. So spell it out, SPEAK. And this S is standing for specific. Same thing like in mercy, where you're being clear and you're being specific. In this scenario, it's calling out the exact behavior, not who they are, not the character, address the behavior. Like in class, again, giving teacher examples. My daughter struggled to start an assignment without redirection. Not calling her, not specifically focusing on her character, but calling out the exact behavior. That is the S for speak. Speak, be specific about that behavior. Oh, that's a good question. What if you don't know the person? I think that you definitely should have some rapport, but then you ask yourself again for the mercy, like, what's driving me right now? Is it love or is it frustration? If you don't know the person, then what's your buy-in? What's your need to say something? If it's something that's doing detriment to someone that you do love and that you do care for, then yeah, you're advocating. And so you can still use these things. You don't have to know people. We are very like I mentioned in the beginning, like sometimes we show people that we don't know more love than the people that we do know. And I don't say that to say that we don't love the people that we do know. It's just that our actions show up. And so you can still, if you don't know the person, you still can behave in the same way. You still can use mercy and you still can you speak and you still can advocate and you still can be direct. It's all about just doing it in compassion and love. Remember, thinking, what would Jesus do? And so the P in speak is permission. Again, ask before unloading. Would it help if I shared what worked for me? Would it help if I share what I've seen work in the past? Would it help if I shared what I've helped someone else before? Are you open to a thought? If you don't know a person, you can ask something like that. Are you open to a thought? Because they can be like, actually, no. Okay. and you release it. But and pray about it. And even you could pray like, God, give me opportunity or give me space to, say a thing. If God continues to put that on your heart, then he'll make it possible. E is for evidence. Speak to what you've seen or heard and not assumptions. This is really big because our brains will automatically go to the reason of why they did something. Like I used to tell my students, if I'm standing at the door and my face is not smiling because you don't see your own face and they're like, oh, she mad, or and they think, oh, because I did this or because this happened or this, and you're like, and they find out my shoes were just hurting my feet. Like speak to what you see or heard and not your assumption. So share what you've seen, in this case, not an assumption. Like I've noticed when this has happened. So, for instance, my daughter, I've noticed when she has a checklist, she finishes quicker. And I'm saying these types of things because this was personal to me, because I'm going through this advocacy process for making sure that my daughter is provided, equitable learning environments. And so, being speaking in compassion to her teachers instead of saying things like you need to do this because that's what I've done. I've noticed this when I use this, something like a checklist, she finishes things quicker. And that is now not in the mean spirited way, if that makes sense. um, Thank you. Thank you. All right. And then the A, speaking A is action. Suggest one small step. Like I mentioned, as an educator, we would look at the highest leverage and then we would make bite sized steps because, again, you can't eat a whole pizza. You can take it one piece at a time. So give one clear step that could help. Like, for example, let's try this week and let's see how it goes. So if I'm talking to teachers, let's try this checklist and let's see how it goes. Then we can reassess and see what's your feedback, what's my feedback, and if it didn't work, then we can come up with the next step. If it worked, then now we know we got a great tool and we'll keep moving in that way. And then the K is kindness. End with encouragement. Build and don't break down. And again, I am not saying this to you as if you have not been doing it, and if you haven't, then here you go. I'm pointing the mirror to me. Always close with encouragement. Like, I appreciate how you've been willing to try this new strategy. I appreciate you allowing me to give feedback and you're open, to this, really, really helping with that. Oh yeah, said I have to do this for myself. Thank you, thank you. I think that's a good point. That's definitely a good point, because we, like I mentioned, we can be so nice to strangers and so mean to the people we love, and even meaner to ourselves, who we live with every single day. So show yourself mercy and using this acronym. Show yourself speak and using this acronym, because speak is really what you use when you know a conversation is needed. And sometimes we need to have conversations with ourselves. And it really helps you to prepare your words so that you are building up instead of breaking down. And like mentioned, building up yourself. So here's the difference in the two twos. Mercy is in the heat of the moment so that you can, stop the subtle judgment and before it all spills out and you are tearing down instead of building up. And speak is when you plan to give correction or feedback so your words restore the person instead of condemning them. Both are tools about the same thing that are wrapped in truth and accountability without losing compassion. But you look at the two different scenarios, because sometimes I think that too, when things are in a heated moment, we think we don't have tools. It's just a heated moment and you can't control yourself. But if you have a tool, write it down somewhere. I've created this little card, for my daughter. Well, I am creating this little card for my daughter, to help with impulses. And it'll be something that tags along on her purse, kind of like the What Would Jesus Do bracelet. It's like, what would she do when impulses happen? What we can't do is twirl our hair like a windmill in class and distract everybody else. But what we can do is pull out our little fidget, those types of things, a reminder. So put this on a little card for yourself so that when you are in that moment, you at least have it somewhere. You don't got to be like, hold on, before we put this fire out, let me go get it. You already kind of have it in your, focus, whether it's a screensaver on your phone or whatever, but somewhere where it's right at your fingertips for you to be able, to pull it out. And so before we start to close, I want to kind of play out, I don't want to say scenario because we're not doing the face to face, but just kind of play out what this sounds like a versus. So, like, if I'm thinking about my parenting example, my judgy much would be, why can't you just get it together? You know this already. You already know this. My mercy version is, I know this is tough for you. Can I share one thing that might help next time? Same point is driving, but one is building and the other is tearing down. If I'm thinking about my moment of advocacy, my judgy much, I'm ashamed to say this because I've actually literally said this. These are common practices that you should just know as a teacher. Mercy says no, not that. And I think CC Winans has a song like Mercy says no. So that's what I try to think about. So Mercy version is, I know the load on you is heavy. Can I share what I've seen work for her that could also work for all of your students or other students? And maybe we can try this together. Same thing, different tone and more accepting in that. And it also helps to lower my barriers of frustration because in the end of things, if you're really looking to help someone, then, and I don't want to say it like that, like if you're really looking as if you're not, in the end of things, helping someone means that there's a sense of collaboration and connection. And if we're doing it in a tone and a manner of judgment, even in subtle judgment, that does not build, that just breaks and tears down. And so if you listen to those two, you may see the difference, excuse me, both bring truth, both address the issue, but one condemns and the other restores. Let me know in the chat how this resonated with you. If you're going to use some of these, I see you need that card. I got you. I got you. All right. While you're putting those in the chat, we'll begin to close, but I do want to at least pray. Heavenly Father God, we just thank you for this time and this moment, Lord. Lord, your word says that we need to clothe ourselves in compassion and kindness and humility and gentleness and patience, the fruit of the Spirit, God. So we ask that you forgive us for the times that we've slipped into judgment, the times that we've even had the subtle judgment and we've tried to call it help in our parenting, in our advocacy, in our relationships, in our friendships. And we ask that you allow this to teach us how to correct without condemning, allow this to teach us to build up instead of tearing down, and allow us to see opportune times for mercy to triumph and take place over judgment in our homes and our workplaces and our relationships and just in our lives in general. And God, we thank you for this opportunity to be in your presence. And it's in Jesus' name that we pray. Thank you. Definitely using it. All right. So then here's your assignment. Here's what I want you to join me in remembering. Um, Judgment condemns, mercy restores. That's one. Subtle judgment shows up when we think things like, you should just know better. But mercy says, I'll walk you through this. Instead of you should just, again, like I told my daughter, you should just, like, wait, actually, not you should. Like, that's crazy. So using this at home with our children, in our advocacy and our schools and our relationships, remembering that mercy does not lower the bar, but it means that we are holding people accountable, but we're doing it with compassion. And it really brings truth in a way that is restoring and doesn't tear down. And so some of the things that I want you to do is practice mercy. That's going to be your motive, your empathy, your request for permission, your clarity, your yield in moments that are heated. Practice this week. Pick a relationship, pick a situation, practice speak, specific, permission, evidence, action, kindness. Practice it. Be intentional about if a situation arises. You probably already have a situation on your mind that is already in brewery that is brewing, rising, things like that, that you can apply this to a conversation that you are preparing to have. Use it. And then journal what changed in you, not what changed in them, because then mercy triumphs over judgment and God is going to work on your heart first. So just pick one relationship. It could be your child, it could be your spouse, it could be your colleague, your friend, someone you don't quote unquote know. Ask permission once before you correct or help them. If they say no, don't push back. Don't force it. Pray and serve quietly, and then journal what changed. Not what changed in them, but what changed in you, because then mercy is really going to triumph over judgment. And like I said, God starts with us first. So thank you for joining this week. There will not be a mindful moment next week, October 9th. I have some advocacy work to do. But I want you to really take the time between this week, next week, and when I come back the week after that, to really practice mercy and speak it in real life. Practice doesn't make perfect, but it does and will increase compassion and anchor you in truth. So keep reminding yourself that it's not a performance. This is practice, not a performance. This is practice. In the words of Allen Iverson, practice. And we'll pick up on Thursday, October the 16th for another mindful moment. But before I let you go, I do want to mention for you to share this here. Let me know in the comments how this session helped you. But if you want to share with someone else that could use this too, share it. And if you want to go deeper, or you know someone that wants to go deeper, I do have the Mindful Moment Reset series. It is available on my website. I think that I put that in the chat, but I will put it there again. Um, and it's designed to really help you ground in your relationships with clarity and deepen your connections in ways that really last, and like the things that we spoke about here and now. And so again, I'll see you all not next Thursday, the Thursday after, October 16th, for our next mindful moment. Practice mercy, practice speak, and you guys have a wonderful rest of your Thursday.